to the stage of development attained as could be imagined by the insanest fancy. Apparently, like our public school boy, he must work, 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 in school and out, and play but little. Apparently, like our public school boy, his education consists in learning things, not the meaning of them. He is fed upon the husks, not the corn. From several essays written by native schoolboys in answer to the question of how they spend their day, I select one, the one which goes most into detail. 66. At the break of day I rises from my own bed and finish my daily duty, then I employ myself till 8 o'clock, after which I employ myself to bathe, then take for my body some sweetmeat, and just at 9:30 I came to school to attend my class duty. Then at 2:30 p.m. I return from school and engage myself to do my natural duty. Then I engage for a quarter to take my tiffin. Then I study till 5 p.m., after which I began to play anything which comes in my head. After 8:30, half past to 8, we are began to sleep. Before sleeping I told a constable just 11:00. He came and rose us from half past 11. We began to read still morning. It is not perfectly clear, now that I come to cipher upon it. He gets up at about 5 in the morning, or along there somewhere, and goes to bed about 15 or 16 hours afterward. That much of it seems straight. But why he should rise again 3 hours later and resume his studies till morning is puzzling. I think it is because he is studying history. History requires a world of time and bitter hard work when your education is no further advanced than the cat's. When you are merely stuffing yourself with a mixed-up mess of empty names and random incidents and elusive dates which no one teaches you how to interpret, and which, uninterpreted, pay you not a farthing's value for your waste of time. Yes, I think he had to get up at half past 11 p.m. in order to be sure to be perfect with his history lesson by noon. With results as follows, from a Calcutta school examination. Q. Who was Cardinal Wolsey? Cardinal Wolsey was an editor of a paper named North Britain. Number 45 of his publication he charged the king of uttering a lie from the throne. He was arrested and cast into prison, and after releasing went to France. 3. As Bishop of York, but died in dysentery in a church on his way to be blockheaded. 8. Cardinal Wolsey was the son of Edward IV. After his father's death he himself ascended the throne at the age of 10 only, but when he surpassed, or when he was fallen in his 20 years of age, at that time he wished to make a journey in his countries under him. But he was opposed by his mother to do journey, and according to his mother's example he remained in the home, and then became king. After many times, obstacles, and many confusion, he become king, and afterwards his brother. There's probably not a word of truth in that. Q. What is the meaning of Ich Dien? 10. An honor conferred on the first or eldest sons of English sovereigns. It is nothing more than some feathers. 11. Ich Dien was the word which was written on the feathers of the blind king who came to fight, being interlaced with the bridles of the horse. 13. Ich Dien is a title given to Henry VII by the Pope of Rome when he forwarded the reformation of Cardinal Wolsey to Rome, and for this reason he was called Commander of the Faith. A dozen or so of this kind of insane answers are quoted in the book from that examination. Each answer is sweeping proof, all by itself, that the person uttering it was pushed ahead of where he belonged when he was put into history, proof that he had been put to the task of acquiring history before he had had a single lesson in the art of acquiring it, which is the equivalent of dumping a pupil into geometry before he has learned the progressive steps which lead up to it and make its acquirement possible. Those Calcutta novices had no business with history. There was no excuse for examining them in it, no excuse for exposing them and their teachers. They were totally empty. There was nothing to examine. Helen Keller has been dumb, stone-deaf, and stone-blind ever since she was a little baby a year and a half old. And now, at 16 years of age, this miraculous creature, this wonder of all the ages, passes the Harvard University examination in Latin, German, French history, belles lettres, and such things, and does it brilliantly, too, not in a commonplace fashion. She doesn't know merely things, she is splendidly familiar with the meanings of them. When she writes an essay on a Shakespearean character, her English is fine and strong, her grasp of the subject is the grasp of one who knows, and her page is electric with light. Has Miss Sullivan taught her by the methods of India and the American public school? No, oh no, for then she would be deafer and dumber and blinder than she was before. It is a pity that we can't educate all the children in the asylums. To continue the Calcutta exposure. What is the meaning of a sheriff? 25. Sheriff is a post opened in the time of John. The duty of sheriff here in Calcutta to look out and catch those carriages which is rashly driven out by the coachman, but it is a high post in England. 26. Sheriff was the English bill of common prayer. 27. The man with whom the accusative persons are placed is called sheriff. 28. Sheriff, Latin term for shrub. We called broom, worn by the first Earl of Anjou, as an emblem of humility when they went to the pilgrimage, and from this their heirs took their crest and surname. 29. Sheriff is a kind of titeless sect of people, as barons, nobles, etc. 30. Sheriff, a title given on those persons who were respective and pious in England. The students were examined in the following bulky matters: geometry, the solar spectrum, the Habeas Corpus Act, the British Parliament, and in metaphysics they were asked to trace the progress of skepticism from Descartes to Hume. It is within bounds to say that some of the results were astonishing. Without doubt there were students present who justified their teachers' wisdom in introducing them to these studies, but the fact is also evident that others had been pushed into these studies to waste their time over them when they could have been profitably employed in hunting smaller game. Under the head of geometry, one of the answers is this: 49. The whole BD equals the whole CA, and so. To me this is cloudy, but I was never well up in geometry. That was the only effort made among the 5 students who appeared for examination in geometry. The other 4 wailed and surrendered without a fight. They are piteous wails, too, wails of despair, and one of them is an eloquent reproach. It comes from a poor fellow who has been laden beyond his strength by a stupid teacher, and is eloquent in spite of the poverty of its English. The poor chap finds himself required to explain riddles which even Sir Isaac Newton was not able to understand. 50. Oh, my dear Father Examiner, you my father, and you kindly give a number of pass, you my great father. 51. I am a poor boy, and have no means to support my mother and 2 brothers who are suffering much for want of food. I get 4 rupees monthly from charity fund of this place, from which I send 2 rupees for their support, and keep 2 for my own support. Father, if I relate the unlucky circumstance under which we are placed, then, I think, you will not be able to suppress the tender tear. 52. Sir, which Sir Isaac Newton and other experienced mathematicians cannot understand, I being 3rd of entrance class can understand these, which is too impossible to imagine. And my examiner also has put very tiresome and very heavy propositions to prove. We must remember that these pupils had to do their thinking in one language and express themselves in another and alien one. It was a heavy handicap. I have by me English as She is Taught, a collection of American examinations made in the public schools of Brooklyn by one of the teachers, Miss Caroline B. LaRoe. An extract or 2 from its pages will show that when the American pupil is using but one language, and that one his own, his performance is no whit better than his Indian brothers. On history. Christopher Columbus was called the father of his country. Queen Isabella of Spain sold her watch and chain and other millinery so that Columbus could discover America.